someone for your song. At the end, it didn't happen. For example, I think the song "Mystery of a Blood Red Rose," which is coming out in a couple of days. When you were writing that song, I think you were thinking of Meat Loaf, but at the end,
Absolutely.
the collaboration didn't happen. So, did you actually try to contact him, or?
Yeah. Well, it was like that. We have a label, and not only Nuclear Blast, but there is a second label involved. They are attached to a huge TV group here in Germany.
Yeah.
And I had a meeting with them, and they said, I said, like, I have a song, it sounds a little bit like Meat Loaf, and they said, why don't you get Meat Loaf? We have very good contacts there. Yeah. And I said, oh my God, of course. And then I pushed the song a little bit in that direction. And we wrote kind of a Meat Loaf song. We made it a real proper mix of Bad Out of Hell meets Avantasia meets Bad Out of Hell 2. And they contacted the management of Meat Loaf, and the management said, oh, it's a great song. And then, 1 week later they said, yeah, it's a great song, but we don't want Meat Loaf to do it because he wants to do his own record, and we want to make sure there's no distractions for him. He's working with Jim Steinman, and it's going to be a big album and blah. And so it didn't happen, long story short. Which was a bummer for me, because not even Meat Loaf made the decision. It was his management, and I'm afraid Meat Loaf never even heard the song. But the thing is, the song was so great, so we said, what shall we do with that song? Because the song has everything that Avantasia stands for. Even though it's only 4 minutes long, and it's not a heavy song, it's got so many choirs. We recorded 4 days of choirs, like 40 hours.
Yeah.
Only for the backing vocals of that track. And it is so well crafted, and there's so much inspiration and emotion put into those 4 minutes of music. As I said, it's not a spectacular track. It's not extremely heavy. It's not extremely fast. It's not, but it's very, very detailed and very, very beautiful crafted. So I said, I want to do this song, and if Meat Loaf doesn't want to do it, then I do it. Let's do it. And if people ask why it sounds so much like Meat Loaf, I'm going to tell the story. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah, Meat Loaf didn't want to do it, or his management didn't want him to do it, so I did it.
Are you some sort of perfectionist on what you do on Avantasia? For example, was there a time on Ghostlights when you say, okay, I have to stop here, the album is done, I cannot go on more perfection in it?
Well, I would say I'm a perfectionist, but I'm also I've been doing this for too long so I'm realistic in a way, and I think, I'm an artist at first, but then all of a sudden, if you want to be an artist, you got to make sure your art gets released, so you can release another piece of art, and you get paid for it, so you can pay for another production. So I know how the business mechanisms work, and at a certain point, when you get a feeling, oh, this is going really, really great in the right direction, and then you can make an estimate when you will be done, and then you have to talk to the record label and discuss a possible release date, and also a possible deadline.
Yeah.
So by the time you discuss a deadline, at least for me that's the case, I never say to a record company, if I don't have the material, I never go to the record company and say, okay, we can release an album at that time. I first want to see if I will have everything finished by that time. Then, of course, you make a release date with a record company, and you discuss, and you say, okay, we will deliver the album early November. I think we did that in summer, when we knew the material is there, we have to finish, we have enough time to finish it relaxed.
Yeah.
And it will be great. When you have the basic material, the songs, when they are there, then you can estimate, and you can also have like 6 or 8 weeks spare time, in a way, for safety reasons. Then but in the end, it always gets stressful. It's always being mastered the last day before you have to deliver it. It's always like that. And at a certain point, you just have to let loose. But I'm more relaxed nowadays. Of course, I would have maybe changed 1 or 2 choir lines in the Mystery of the Blood Red Rose, for example.
Yeah.
But I'm relaxed enough to say, I'm realistic enough to say, what the fuck? In the end, nobody will care. It doesn't make a fucking difference. And this is not an approach you should take too easily, because I really want to make it sound the way it is supposed to sound. But at some point, you have to be that relaxed, because otherwise you would work 8 years on an album, and nobody can afford working 8 years on one album. I would be starving if I would not at some point sell it, because you cannot do it like that.
Your show in Madrid just went sold out in very short time, and they had to put another date there. So I was thinking how that makes you feel. It doesn't give you the impression that Avantasia here is a bigger monster than, for example, Edguy?
Well, first of all, it makes me feel that the Spanish fans have the best taste in the world. Well, let's face it. In most markets, Avantasia is bigger than Edguy. I mean, it's nothing to. It's not a matter of taste anymore. It's not a matter of perception. It is a fact. And I can change it, but I would not complain. I would not complain either way. In some territories, Edguy is bigger than Avantasia, and I don't complain as well. I always see the glass half full. I'm just very thankful that people are interested in what I'm doing musically. And, and I think both entities, Avantasia and Edguy, they both boost each other. And that's something, that's why I'm very relaxed, If Avantasia is very successful in one country, it will support Edguy. It will help Edguy, and it will only be positive for Edguy. If Edguy is big in one other country, it will help Avantasia.
Yeah.
And down the line, at the end of the day, I am just very humble and thankful that fans love what I'm doing, and that's not to be taken for granted. That's a gift. I don't really care if it says Edguy or Avantasia, and it's just, I'm just thankful that people are interested in my music. So that's why I don't see this as the Olympics.
Okay. Well, I have a question for you outside of Avantasia. I don't know if you're a fan of Richie Blackmore.
Well, as much as everybody else, I mean, he wrote "Smoke on the Water," so how can you not be a fan of Richie Blackmore if you're into rock music?
Exactly. So
he's got a singer. He's got a singer from Spain now, right?
Exactly. That was my question. As you are very fond of vocalists, Richie Blackmore is taking on tour now next year, and he's playing in Germany, I think, a couple of dates. With Ronnie Romero, which is a Spanish singer. So maybe you can have him in consideration for our next Avantasia album.
Well, I honestly speaking, I've never heard him, so I'm curious. I was just talking to my wife about it, because our friend Jens Johansson is in the band as well, which I think is great.
Yeah.
It's so great. I was reading it and I almost fell off the chair. I thought, like, wow, Jens Johansson is in Rainbow now, which is great. I love Jens Johansson. He's a very, very nice person and a good friend, and he's a real nice person. So I was reading it in the magazine, and I also read that they have a Spanish singer, and I never heard of him before. So I was just wondering, the only thing I was wondering, I said to my wife that it's great for the people who are in the band, especially for that singer, because he will, his name will be really all over the place because of that. But the thing is, I was wondering, how do you do a reunion of a band with no members of the band? That was what I was wondering as a fan of Rainbow. I thought, like, wow, this is like a Rolling Stones reunion with, well, they are still together. So this is like a Led Zeppelin reunion without Robert Plant, and of course the others can't reunite, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, let's do a Deep Purple reunion without Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, and Ian Pace. You know, so I thought it was a bit weird, but still, it's Reggie Blackmore, so he can do whatever he wants to do. He's a guitar god.
Exactly. Well, returning back to Ghostlights, the special edition of this album has an extensive photo book. I think also has a karaoke version of the album and a live CD. So, do you think that in today's world, where you have so many offers from so many artists, you have to do these kind of things to just people can get the attention from what you offer?
Unfortunately, maybe yes.
Yeah.
I have no real clue why this is happening. I mean, the thing is, the limited edition of the new album. I mean, the new album, first of all, it offers 70 minutes, the limited edition 75 minutes of original new material. This is so much value for money that you should expect every fan to say, oh yes, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it so that the artist gets a little royalty rate and can pay for the production and everything. So I would expect people to buy actually the music if you get so much material. But the record company, they say, we need more because otherwise people will probably download it and not buy it.
Yeah.
I think that's not fair. But what did I do? I created a full live album of another 60 minutes with unreleased material. One song has been released before, but the rest is unreleased material as a live album to give away for free as well. And the record label said, but we need a real great special edition, so people will really want to make sure they buy it. What else do you have? And I said, what the fuck? What else do I have? You get a live album for free, which cost me around, I don't know, 25,000 euros to produce. You just get it for free. You get an album which cost me a 6-digit figure to produce as the main album, 75 minutes of material. What else can we have?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let's do the karaoke version and the earbook edition, the real porn star edition, also contains a 68 pages book with photos which I had to buy the rights for. I mean, of course, you pay the photographer and everything, and have it layouted and everything. There's more than 100 unreleased photos in that limited edition. A huge book, 68 pages, like a coffee table book.
Yeah.
And that as well, So I have a feeling it's really insane, because back in the day when I started to listen to music, bands were releasing albums that were 35 minutes long. They were great albums, and if they had a hit, it was worth buying it. So, and if they were having only hits like Holy Diver and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, of course I was buying it. It was great to have those albums. Today you have to deliver. It's going to take 5 more days, and you will have to include a family van and I don't know what else you have to, a car and okay, you want to buy an album? Here you have a house and you have a little car and here's your boat. But please buy the album. It's only $14.99. It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
But what you do everything. I cannot change the way things are, and you do everything so people actually decide to spend a little of their money for our music, and that's what you have to make sure they get a lot of value for money, so people actually decide to buy the music. And I understand that, and so we join in the game. I mean, that's after all I want is that people pay attention to that new album. I think we really have to go because this is I'm really over time already.
No worries. Well, just one last question. One of the songs that's really catching my attention on the album was "Seduction of Decay," where you worked there with Jeff Tate. He used to be in Queens, right? So, how was working with him after all the mumbo jumbo that he had with his previous band?
Well, of course, I've read it as well. I've what apparently, some things were going on, and to be honest, I was in touch with his wife and manager.
Yeah.
They were cool. They loved the song. They made clear they loved the song. There was no hassle, no problems. You know, what can I say? I think it's not my business to judge. I think when people have a conflict, it's in most cases it's based on misunderstandings and also on two different sides and two different perceptions of what should be done and what should not be done, or egos clashing or whatever. This is not my business. All I can say is that he did not do anything wrong to me, and apparently, you know, I cannot judge. All I think is that I've got some real weird reactions when I announced that he would be on the album, and I think it was so weird because he delivered such an amazing performance, and he is an artist to begin with, and he has delivered a lot for the heavy metal and prog rock world, and he has inspired a lot of singers, even Michael Kiske. We spoke about it. Michael Kiske is a fan of Jeff Tate. I am a fan of Jeff Tate. As you can hear in many Ed Guy songs, that I've been influenced by Jeff Tate. So I was really, really thankful and happy that he did that song, and I was really happy about how great his performance is on the song. He really did a terrific job, and that's all I can judge, you know. And I thought some people were really weird when they said like things like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy the album if he's going to ruin it," and whatever. And I thought, like, what the fuck are they talking about? This man delivered a performance that is absolutely outstanding, and people who have not even heard it are so judgmental beforehand. I did not understand that, and that's why I wanted also, you know, to slap people in the face and say, I didn't do it, of course. But, you know, I said, like, wait until you hear the fucking result. Jeff Tate has done a killer job on this record, and he is a true legend, period. I was not there when he was apparently having, you know, discussions with his bandmates. Nobody else was there. It was all told. It's not my business to judge.